roll.
Fantasy versus Shiny McShinerson. Yes, Shine is back to battle Fantasy today in our third Terran versus Zerg of the night. Let's get some predictions from the Nukenites. I feel way too tired to give my own opinions. Casual 864 writes, "Fighting Fantasy and Flash!" Exclamation point. I think we have another Terran fan there. Kaneda 8181 writes, "I'm hyped already now. I'm cheering for Fantasy in yellow. Hope they crush everyone!" Exclamation point. Scissors SC writes, "Fantasy is going to get rocked. ROFL." That is rolling on the floor laughing, for those of you less internet inclined. Vinterschloff08 writes, "I don't think Fantasy is going to have a hard time at all. His big advantage is that all of his opponents are Zerg, so he only has to train for one kind of matchup. 3, 2, 1, 0. By the way, Vinterschloff did not do the countdown. That was my own quote. And I predict that his this is back to Vinterschloff, by the way. And I predict that his vultures will rip out the evil Zerg hearts. Go, go, Fantasy, you can do it! Exclamation point! Up at the 10 o'clock position in red is Fantasy. Down at the 5 o'clock position in teal was Shiny McShinerson. I think a lot of people have been underestimating Shine. I talked a little bit about this in the Daily Word segment over on sc2gg.com. If you haven't read that, go ahead and read it. It was a pretty good little interview. I didn't really intend for the main focus to be on Shine, but I ended up talking about Shine more than any other player. And yeah, everyone is underestimating Shine. The viewers are underestimating him, and the players, looking at how Effort and both Effort and Bisu, how they played against Shine, they underestimated him. They did not consider him that large of a threat, so hopefully Fantasy has studied those games, knows that Shine is the real deal. I mean, Shine is a great player. He deserves to be in the spot, and he's already won in this group already. I mean, think about it. He's beaten Bisu and Effort. If he beats Fantasy today, he will have beat the three of the top players in the respective races. So that would be a huge wave of confidence that he could ride all the way into the round of 8, I think. Maybe even higher than that. I mean, I don't think he is the next buy hero. I don't think this is a buy hero situation. I think he's better than buy hero. He seems to be well-rounded. I mean, one of the biggest things for a player moving up in a tournament is to be well-rounded. If you don't have good enough versus Protoss, say, when you come up against a Protoss in a best of 5 or something, you're going to get completely screwed. But Shine seems to be good in all of his matchups. His lowest matchup is against Terran, but yeah, Fantasy is known for going for crazy strategies, so he could definitely take advantage of that by figuring out what the crazy strategy is and coming up with a good counter. Fantasy, one of his biggest failings tends to be going for too high of a tech. So if Shine spots a too high of a tech, I saw Fantasy putting down his refinery earlier, so this could indicate a mech build or something like that, and Shine is going up here to scout this. 3 SCVs on that refinery. This usually indicates a starport build, although Fantasy could definitely switch things up. Now that Shine has spotted this, he might go for something different. Just throw down a few factories and get out a mech build or something like that. Bio-Valk is definitely a possibility as well. Get out some Valkyries to deal with the Mutilus threat. Factory coming up for him, and he's going to try to get rid of the scout. And Shine is going to hightail it home with that drone. He's putting down his expansion being spotted by Fantasy. Fantasy back to mining with 1 SCV on that gas, I believe. So he might have slowed things down, just going to put down another factory or 2. And yeah, I'd say this is anyone's game. Shine is an extremely smart player, and he knows how to adapt, especially in the long term. Watching his game against Violet, that was an extremely long game, but he made all the right moves in the mid to late game, which ended up giving him the game, even though Violet played extremely well. Okay, let's see what Fantasy does. The factory is going to get done soon, so if he is going for a starport build, he's probably going to throw down 2 starports or something like that. And this is going to be scouted again by Shine, sneaking in with his scout. I'm not sure how that scout guy got by the Marines, but Shine, he might spot this starport. He hasn't scouted it yet. He's going up to the right side of Fantasy's base, but if he goes up to the very, very top left, he's going to see it, but I don't think he's seen it yet. He hasn't seen that starport yet, and now this drone is going to go down. But he did spot that machine shop coming down on the factory. That's a pretty huge deal. He knows that the vultures are not going to be too quickly coming into his natural expansion, so he has time to put down his sunken and protect his base. Starport coming up. I'm not sure what is Fantasy up to. Putting down 1 starport is not really an all-in Wraith build, so I don't think he's going for Wraiths just yet. The Spire coming up for Shine, so Fantasy's going to have Mutalisks to deal with soon, so yeah, you better be putting down an Armory or something to go for a Valkyrie build. He's getting 1 Wraith out, I think. I think he was pumping from that starport. He couldn't really see the lights on the starport going, but he didn't put the control tower on it, so I think he is going to pump at least 1 Wraith, so he is going for a Wraith build. Very strange build from Fantasy right out of the gate. He does not have enough out here to deal with what Shine has, so hopefully he's thinking about putting down either another factory or another barracks or something. Expanding right now, so Fantasy going for an expand with very few troops on the ground. This is tends to be Fantasy's not enough troops build, where he gets owned. But I don't think that's going to happen to Fantasy. He does have 1 Vulture out just to pick at Zerglings. And he's going to see the Spire soon enough, so he's going to know to fall back. And he's putting down a science facility and the control towers. I guess this is a quick science vessel build from Fantasy, which could work out if he gets a radiate research quickly enough. But still, this is going to leave him with way too few troops to deal with a bunch of Mutalisks from even 2 hatcheries. Even 2 hatch Muta are really going to rip into Fantasy here, and Fantasy has to scout this. He is coming down. He saw the Hydralisk Den coming up, but I'm not sure if he saw that Spire or not. I assume he saw the Spire. I don't see why he would just hover around there with his Wraith without seeing what was going on. Yeah, he has a science facility up, so he's going to get out science vessels, but yeah, this is such a bizarre build from Fantasy. I think he was building a turret by his natural. He was building something small, which I assume was a turret. Now he's running back with his Wraith, his single Wraith, and a couple of Vultures. He really doesn't have much out to deal with Mutas besides turrets. And he can't get into the natural expansion because there is a sunken colony there. A couple of Scourge coming out, so if Fantasy is going for an early science vessel build, 2 Scourge will just completely destroy his chances of getting into this game. This is such a bizarre build from Fantasy. I'm not sure why he just didn't go for a standard build. Fantasy's standard Medic Marine these days tends to be very, very good. Coming in with 1 Wraith, but that Wraith does not have Cloak or anything prepared, so that 1 Wraith is not going to get much done. A couple of turrets, but here is a science vessel, and the Radiate was being researched, but as soon as Shine sees that, he's going to go straight for that science vessel with a couple of Scourge, so Fantasy may have doomed himself here. I'm not really sure what Fantasy was hoping to accomplish with this build. I mean, even with Irradiates, even with an Irradiate researched, Shine could always just get out the infected Mutalisks and keep going on. I mean, it will take a while longer for the science vessels to get the energy back up for a second Irradiate, but oh man, this is absolutely horrible for Fantasy. Almost loses his Wraith. 1 Scourge going after that Wraith, but he does save that Wraith. It's still only 1 Wraith, a science vessel! Oh, Fantasy's build may have just failed him. He was researching Irradiate to deal with this, but man, he's not going to have anything out to deal with this. What the crap, Fantasy? Seriously, this is not a build. This may have worked if Shine was stupid enough not to unclump his Mutas once he got irradiated, but man, there is pretty much no way that Fantasy could have won with this unless he put down maybe 6 turrets at each base. 1 Wraith in here to defend the starport. That starport must be pumping. Yeah, I can't see the little dots. Can't see the little lights on the starport, but I assume that Fantasy's trying to get another science vessel out there. But yeah, Fantasy's completely screwed here. This was an awful build from Fantasy, and Shine punished him for it. You got to give credit to Shine. He did not back down. He went for the exact right counter to this build. Fantasy's running back. He has a bunch of turrets now, so that's definitely something for Fantasy, but I don't think he has any way of getting medics out, so he's not going to be able to deal with this at all. Shine, noticing this, he notices that there's no academy, going in, taking out all of the turrets, so yeah, he's going to be able to destroy this barracks, and Fantasy, there's almost nothing he can do at this point. He has no way to get science vessels out, he has no way to get wraiths out. Yeah, he's building a lone turret inside of his main, but yeah, absolutely crushed by Shine. GG! Another Terran player bites the dust today. And Shine going 2-0 in this group so far. Absolutely ridiculous. But, yeah, I can't take anything away from Shine. He reacted just the right way in both his effort game and this game. I don't know why everyone's underestimating Shine. That was a build that was underestimating Shine's abilities. Seriously, Fantasy. Well, this has been Nuke. I'm going to move on to the main event. Stork versus Flash.